Welcome back to the FloTrack podcast. Happy 2020. I'm Kevin, joined by Gordon. Our email address, FloTrackPodcast at gmail.com. You can find the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and wherever else you listen. Gordon, how are you doing today?
Doing good. Happy New Year. It's been a while since we last did a pod. We haven't done a pod like in 2 weeks. All the pods you got back in December were pre-recorded. They were countdown pods, but now this is an actual real-life pod happening in real time, in your ear or in your face on video. So it's good to be back January 5th. Thought about doing one earlier, but hey, we needed the vacation. I just got back from I went home for break, so I got back last night. So this is my first time back in Austin, Texas. So I'm happy to be back. Better weather here, man. Better temperature in Texas than in Pennsylvania. I'll tell you that. So
Allergies right now are killing me, so I would sacrifice some of the better weather for less cedar in the air. But can't complain about anything. We're in a new year. We've entered what we believe to be an Olympic year, which is exciting. We don't know that 100%, but I'm going to call it an Olympic year until proven otherwise. Let's start, though, with a bit of news about the show. Do you want to talk about Lincoln, or do you want me to talk about Lincoln?
what happened to Lincoln?
I don't know. What happened to Lincoln? Lincoln's no longer on the show, guys. So if you're a Lincoln stan out there, or even if you're just a Lincoln fan, you're going to be disappointed. As you probably noticed, though, from watching the show, if you ever watched the show, you notice behind Lincoln, it would always feature just amazing art done by his wife. And his wife, as he mentioned, is a very successful artist. We would joke and stuff about that, but we were actually serious about that. That was the one thing of the show that was serious. And he's unfortunately left us to help her grow her art business. So no more Hype Shed, Gordon. I thought that was going to turn into a podcast studio, but it's just going to be full-on art studio. I had such high hopes.
I know I had high hopes too. I'm gonna miss Lincoln. It's a bummer situation. I remember when Lincoln first worked at Flow back in 2014. He was part of a new crew that I groomed and raised. Remember Meg Bellino, Taylor Dutch, James Cameron, and Lincoln. They all came at the same time. Now they've all since have left us. Lincoln did a second stint, season 2, Electric Boogaloo, when it came out 2 years ago. But now his wife is just so successful. Check out her Instagram. What is it? Sorry, not sorry. That's where I don't know.
With an
sorry.
S-A-R-I. S-A-R-I, I think, is the spelling on that, correct?
Yeah, just Google sorry, S-A-R-I, and then not N-O-T, and then sorry, S-O-R-R-Y, and you'll see all this stuff. So Lincoln going off to greener pastures. Maybe we can get him on as a guest. I think we should. I think we will. When we need something to debate or we need someone to disagree with me, we can bring him back on as a celebrity guest. He'll be a celebrity guest now, not just a regular guest. He's a celebrity guest.
Which season of Lincoln was your favorite, 1 or 2?
Oh, it's got to be 1. Season 1 was great. He was younger. Really? He's younger, just doing he had some wild takes, going on like road trips for season 1 of Lincoln was a good time. So it's kind of weird. I mean, little did I know that the day before I left for NCAA indoors was going to be the last time I see Lincoln in person.
Oh, wow. That's right.
Right?
That's crazy. You may never see him in person again. I mean, that might be hyperbolic. You could just, I mean, he lives so far out of town, we're not going to be able to see him. Do we want to share favorite Lincoln memories? Is that, can we do that here?
Did you make a list?
I didn't make a list. I made a list of bold predictions for 2021, and that took me long enough, so I didn't get time to do my Lincoln list. I mean, a lot of this stuff, you and I find it funny just because we were around him all the time, but I don't know how funny other people would find it. One thing I liked about Lincoln, one quirk that he would have, is he would get in the mix zone, the interview area, after races, and he would just sort of like, he would make it his own, right? He kind of like block out everybody else and just really go for it sometimes with interviews. And sometimes he'd get so into the interview. It was almost like, do you remember that scene in Old School where Will Ferrell, where they're in the competition, and he gives that really long, intricate answer, and he's debating James Carville, and he's like, "What happened? I just blacked out."
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like that was kind of like Lincoln. He just go into these interviews and just get so wrapped in them, he'd kind of forget about him. So famously, in Doha when the Salazar suspension happened, he was really asking like, there were good questions, like really, really pointed questions of people who had trained in that group. And I think part of that was kind of encouraged on by, you have all these other big time media members. But the one I remember, it was actually before that. This was before we were in Doha. It was actually NCAA's in Austin, and it was with Wayne Kaladi of all people. Which you've interviewed Wayne Kaladi before. I've interviewed Wayne Kaladi before. Super nice, awesome personality, and she wins a lot. So everybody's usually in a good mood. Well, if you remember that 10,000-meter race, she was way up, and then Carmela Cardama Baez caught her. Do you remember that? And actually
Yeah.
got even
Yeah,
with her,
yeah.
or almost passed her with like 50 meters to go. And then Kaladi surged back to get the win. And it was really strange because we just thought Kaladi, okay, she's going to run away with these things, right? If she's ahead with 800 to go, she's just going to put the hammer down and then go. So Kaladi comes to the mix zone, and the setup in Austin was a little complicated and complex. So sometimes it took them longer to get there. So it was a reasonably big crowd waiting to interview her. So Lincoln and I, because of just happenstance, we ended up to be sort of at the back of that group, right? So and when you're at the back, it's kind of harder to get questions in because you can't really hear when they're done talking. And you could be a jerk and just like scream stuff the whole time, but you don't really like those people if they do that. And listen, it's not like NFL media day. It's a track meet. So you calm down a little bit. You'll get your question.
Yeah, yeah.
In any event, she was a couple questions in, and then Lincoln, and this was just like no filter Lincoln, and he didn't mean any offense by it, but yells, "Did you think you blew it?" From the back,
I mean,
from the
she probably
back of the
did.
pack. Yeah. But it was just so funny because everybody else was couching their questions and it was what everybody wanted to know. Like, what sort of happened?
Yeah.
Like, did you slow down? Because you thought you had it won? Did Baez just make a big push? Like, what actually happened? But what he came out with was, "Did you think you blew it?" So from that point forward, I always joked with him that, like, before he went to interview someone, I said, make sure you ask if they blew it or not. Like, if they thought that they blew it, just anybody who didn't win, that was going to be his go-to question. So I liked working with Lincoln at these events and on the pod too.
I'm not sure it's my most favorite memory of Lincoln. I like how we're like arbitrating him. I mean, he's still alive. He's still our friend. So just lives in Taylor, Texas. Uh
Yeah.
it has like I don't know if it's not really uh, uh a funny thing. It was more of a like just like a not. It was kind of funny. Uh, one night, I think it was a USA coverage or NCAA coverage, a coverage in Eugene. So whether it was
Mhm.
USA's or NCAA's, it was probably both. Whatever. Uh, but we were spending the night. We had an early flight at like 6 a.m. and we were spending the night at Taylor's like aunt's house because it was like
Mhm.
closer to the airport, and she let us crash the night before our flight. I think we were at the Portland Track Festival the night before. Regardless, we were out late. We're back. We're sleeping in the basement. No windows in the basement, so it's really dark. And we
Mm.
just pass out on the couch. And then we wake up at like 7:30, and we had a 6 o'clock flight, 6 a.m. flight, and we're like, "What happened?" Right? And then we look at our phone, and then it just says from Meg and Taylor, "We left." And we're like, "Wait a minute! Our two colleagues just left us
Ooh.
in a random
Ugh.
stranger's basement. Like, why didn't they wake us up and like go to the airport with us?" And they're like, because we had two rental cars, so we could have, gone together. They could just take the car
Mhm.
and be like, "Hey, they'll figure it out." And we were so confused. And they told us that they woke us up, and we said, "Okay, we're ready to." We like talked to them, and we don't remember this. Apparently, we sleepwalked, like confirming that we were getting up, and it never happened. And then we were missing the flight, and it was this whole thing, and it was a wild 12 hours to get back to Austin because we had to change our flight, and just people were upset with us. But it was funny. We slept walked apparently in the middle of the night, saying, "Yeah, we're ready to go," and Meg
Yeah,
and Taylor just
yeah.
left, and it was a weird situation. So
Yeah.
never my advice if you're traveling with another party and they say yes, we'll meet you at the airport. Double check, shake them, throw some water on them to make sure they actually mean that they're going to meet you at the airport, because we did not meet them at the airport. Anyway, so that's just a memory of
Yeah,
Lincoln. I think he left
yeah.
Flo like a month later after that. So because he's like,
Oh,
all
the
right,
first time.
that was the end of the first season. He was like, okay, I can't do
That-
this anymore, and then we had to take a sabbatical before he
Oh,
came back for season 2.
okay. So that was the season. That was the season finale of season 1. Lincoln
Yeah.
was he's stuck in a Portland apartment of someone he doesn't know.
When does season 3 come out? When do we get season 3 of Lincoln? You know,
Well, you're
when do
talking
we?
about him coming on as like a guest. Maybe it's not as a recurring role, but because he was such a favored character, he comes back and he pops up every now and then. Maybe that's the future of Lincoln on this show.
Yeah, we
Not a
should
bad
have him
spot
on
to
as like
be in.
a monthly guest where he just gets to rant about something.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, I think everybody enjoyed the Lincoln rants throughout the years,
Yeah,
right?
especially
Some
remember when
some of them more
people
more
loved
thought out than others.
this marathon project rant when he
Look, I'm
dunked all over the
I'm
marathon project.
I don't think he dunked all over the marathon project. I thought that was fair what he was saying, and I like some of his takes are bad, and just like yours, some of your takes are bad, and I feel like, hey, I'll say,
Hey,
Gordon, not your best idea, or hey, Gordon, that's a decent idea. Same thing with Lincoln, but the idea that Galen Rupp would have run really fast on a really fast course, that's not news. Why is that? Why is that breaking news that somebody fast would run pretty fast on a course? Now, 204, I mean, you could say 204 versus 205. Okay, you want to quibble with those minor details, but the larger point he was making was this generation, um, they haven't closed the gap to relative to Rupp, right? And since Rupp is the guy who's challenging, he's the best in the United States, and he's the one who's challenging and for medals and top 3 spots at majors. That's the true marker of success. And also, are you going to really say if Ritz didn't get on that course in his prime, or Hall didn't get on that course in his prime, or Meb, whatever, they wouldn't have torn it up? I mean, that's kind of, I think that's overthinking it on other people's parts. Of course they would have. So I actually didn't think it was one of his worst. Now, it was one of his last takes before he left us, but I don't think it was one of his worst takes.
can we just start a rumor that was what did him in? That like all
Oh
the
yeah.
the social media outrage towards him saying that Galen Rupp is fast was
He
the
lost his
last
job
straw
because
that broke it.
yeah. Why'd you lose your job? Takes. It's just takes. Just too
Takes,
many
man.
takes. No,
Yeah, he didn't
that
lose
would
his job for
that
the record. So
yeah, that would be, well, come on, if you're going to start a rumor. No. I mean, that's akin to saying like, oh yeah, you put Jordan on the Bulls right now, he'd probably be the leading scorer. I mean, okay, yeah.
and then all the
Is it
Zach Levine stands are like, oh,
yeah.
this is disrespectful. You guys
Yeah.
don't know.
Kobe White's
Anyway,
out there saying, what do you know about Michael Jordan that I don't? Well, he was really good. Okay, let's move on to the news, and then we will get to our predictions for 2021. Another person leaving the running world, slightly more prominent than Lincoln, I'll say. Kyle Merber, he posted this last night to Instagram. Gordon, I'll read it here. It says, well, I knew I'd have to make this post eventually. I'm not done running. I'm just done getting paid for it. Sometime in the last couple of years, I realized I was no longer getting nervous before races. At first, I thought it was due to health issue or lack of fitness, but then I found those things, and it was only the fire that was missing. 2020 was a blessing in the sense that it gave me time to fully explore those emotions. I don't like to say I'm retiring. Real runners don't retire. I'm merely rearranging priorities. So what's next? I'm in the process of trying to figure that out. And they went on to thank his sponsors and his agent for the opportunity to live out this dream. What do you think about Kyle Merber? You've worked with Kyle Merber before. I was going to say maybe you are the common denominator here. Like, you worked with Lincoln and he's no longer here. You worked with Kyle Merber at the NCAA broadcast. No, he's no longer here. But yeah, so Kyle Merber no longer pursuing professional running.
yeah, I mean, if you look at the last time he was kind of like in his prime was, what would you say? I mean,
2017, 15, 16, 17 were his
2017.
3 best years. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah,
Had a lot
17
of
was he
injuries.
was running. Yeah, a lot of injuries. Yeah, 2018 he still ran 337. Then 2019 and 2020. It's one of those weird things about this sport. I mean, we talked about it with when Ritz retired. Like Ritz retired the same year as Merber. It's like weird. I don't know. Like these
Yeah,
these uh these timelines and schedules of when like Dwayne Solomon retired this year as well. I mean, I guess this year, as in technically we could
2020.
say Kyle Merber retired in 2021, but uh, it's just getting interesting to see how the end of a professional athlete's career works. Like it's so much simpler in like the NFL, NBA, like the contract. Like it's like everyone knows that person is retired, right? It's just like a weird it's like a slow burn at the end. Um, and I guess a lot of these athletes, luckily, like Merber said, had the 2020 where they can they don't need to do another year of running 345s, 1500s for an entire season to like recognize like, hey, I think my time on top is over. So I
Yeah.
think 2020 is a blessing for him, like he said. Like, hey, yeah, it allowed me to like recognize like I'm not 24 anymore, and just like eyes
Mhm.
wide open and just loving traveling to Europe. Now he's married. I'm sure he's going to start a family eventually, probably, and do adult like things. And I think Hoka got their bang for their buck in Kyle Merber's career. That's all I can say
Mhm.
about it, right? Would you say that he's probably one of the most like what's a return on investment? I bet he had the highest
Mhm.
return on investment than any professional 1500-meter runner you could have outside of like an Olympic champion like Centro. So
Yeah.
uh hey, like he has the career of that everyone dreams of. I mean, obviously, he probably would want to have made a world team, because that's why we do it, right? You want to represent Team USA, but he did get to go to world relays. He was on that world record team where he ran the 1200. Uh,
Mhm.
he's run some very fast times, 334. This is 1500 PR. He won the Milrose Mile in high school. Uh,
Mhm.
I mean, I think everyone would take his career any day of the week, and
Mhm.
nothing to be ashamed of. And he's gonna be still relevant in the sport, I think, for next 10, 20 years, because of his personality. He'll have some great takes. He'll replace the takes that Lincoln is leaving us with, and maybe we'll get an honest Kyle Merber, because I'll be honest, there's a lot of things. I've had some conversations with him, and he keeps things to like when you get him in a closed room, you can get the truth out of him, and he has he'll keep some of his takes to himself because he has a big platform. But I think I'm
Yeah.
excited when he's gonna be free of hey, I'm paid by a sponsor, free of all that stuff, and he can just be himself. I mean, he already was himself, but he can be even more himself because now there's no one paying him, which I guess is a problem, right? Because you want someone to pay him, because he just made a joke tweet today. He says, I
Mhm.
am overwhelmed by all the support of the announcement that I'm unemployed or something like that, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's like everyone is
Listen.
congratulating me for not having a job. And I was like, yeah, it's a good point. It's funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, he did something that very few runners do, but pretty much everybody our age and around our age talks about, Gordon. This whole idea of building a brand, and it's become so cliche, and everybody talks about it, and he actually did it. And his was real within the sport of running to the point where that was almost more important than his results. And I say that as a compliment because he made people care about his personal journey. And we've seen this firsthand just in terms of how much interest interviews that he would do would garner, or how much support we'd see that he would get in these races for somebody who didn't have Olympic medals, didn't have world championship medals, didn't come in as a 5-time NCAA champion, but he was doing something that a lot of people were trying to do and not able to do, and that was build a fan base. Was it as big as an NBA player or an NFL player? No, but amongst the running world, he had a strong following, and he still has a strong following. You can see it just as you mentioned in all the congratulations and all the well wishes that he's getting on Instagram. And I just think that's noteworthy. I also noticed a post. I think it was from Drew Hunter last night, talking about how like Merber kind of paved the way, because if you look at what Tin Man Elite is doing, where they're trying to be very fan centric and fan focused, I think Merber might have set a template, not in the sense of like, not in the sense just of running, but all the things that people can do to connect with the fan base outside of running. And it wasn't like this big splashy thing, right? It wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna start this massive YouTube operation and I'm gonna hire a business manager. It was just him being himself and taking advantage of his personality, which is
Yeah.
probably what made it work, right?
Yeah. 100%. It only works if you're genuine, right? I hate
Mm-hmm.
the fake brand type people you see on like
Yeah.
Instagram and Twitter who just, like, we know what you're doing. Yeah, that's not you in reality.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I thought one cool little trope that Matthew Centrowitz commented or like responded
Yeah.
to one of his announcement tweets, or yeah, and talked about how he helped rabbit him during a workout that he did in 2016. That kind of was like the key workout that showed that he was Olympic gold medal contender level,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of cool. It's like there's little things you don't know about, right? Because workouts aren't public all the time, and it's kind of cool that Merber is a type of person who's like, yeah, I'll hop into, I'll pace you, and
Yeah.
hey, it resulted in this, this other athlete having the confidence to go out there and win Olympic gold in 2016. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. 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 Well, and as Lincoln is the brand guy here, so it's unfortunate that he's not on this episode, but you're right about his contribution to Hoka in the same way Meb with Skechers and Kara Goucher with Skechers. It's like no one associated that company with that level of running until they came along. And I think Kyle, Leo Manzano as well too, right? But Merber just got their name out there a lot and established them. And obviously that's kind of coming to an end as it relates to the New Jersey New York Track Club. They're no longer sponsoring it, but for the the time span of his career, he certainly um, elevated them and put them in a prominent spot that would not have been as easy to achieve without someone with his communication skills and also his ability to run fast times.
Yeah. So
All right. Lots of sponsor news, though. As we
yeah,
predicted and we talked about before, the end of the year brings on the end of the contracts for a lot of athletes. So you saw some people talk about re-signing. You saw other people leaving. For example, Ryan Hill announced that he's leaving Bowerman Track Club. Sandy Morris, the pole vaulter, was with Nike, said that she's now signed with Puma. So there's a lot of shuffling and people moving around and contracts not getting renewed. And it's especially weird, as we've talked about, Gordon, because this is an Olympic year and usually the contracts don't end that way. So this is going to be a particularly awkward set of circumstances. But did any contract situations stand out to you that you've heard about so far?
well, I think one is Molly Seidel being, I don't know if it's the word dropped is the right word by Saucony, but not being with Saucony in 2021. She was commenting on, I think, Strava or something like that with just a fan, and she made a statement that Saucony isn't going to sponsor her in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
I forget her exact quote, but it was something like, it was like they didn't. I don't know, I forget what it was. Now it could be that Seidel asked for more money and Saucony didn't want to offer it. It could be that Saucony had budget cuts. You don't know
Mm-hmm.
the whole reason of why a shoe sponsor stops supporting an athlete. It could be Seidel, hey, I got a better offer here. Try to match it. They refuse to match it. It could be a mixture of things, but it is kind of it's wild to see this breakout star in the marathon, go out there, make an Olympic team in like her marathon debut. Was that her marathon
Hmm.
debut? Yeah.
Yep.
And then, I mean, last person to do that was Galen Rupp, right? Uh, then, literally before the Olympics even happened, the sponsor's
Yeah.
like, I'm out. It's kind of wild. Now I think about it, the sponsor kind of, if you, with the whole Rule 40 and all this stuff,
Yeah.
Saucony sponsoring Molly Seidel at the Olympics is a lot less valuable than sponsoring Molly Seidel at the Olympic trials. Because like no one's
Yeah.
gonna know that she runs for Saucony at the Olympics. She's gonna have a USA kit with a Nike swoosh on it, and no one's gonna know. No one's gonna be zooming in on her feet. Whereas at the Olympic trials, the photos are all gonna be wearing a Saucony kit,
Hmm.
and you're gonna see that all. So it is kind of interesting that you would think like, hey, this is the one person you don't want to not resign, but maybe. So I'm guessing it's. I really think these shoe companies all have a weird budget world right now
Yeah.
with the timing of the Olympics being pushed a year, then pandemic budgeting and all that stuff. So there's just like these weird situations where you see first time Olympian get dropped before the Olympics even happen. That's just crazy.
Yeah. Well, we don't. You're right. We don't know the circumstances of it, but certainly her contract ended in 2020, as
Yeah.
many people's did, and then that put you in a weird spot because they thought that they would be getting her go through the Olympics. And you see the cycle of these different companies that some are on the upswing and then some are scaling down. We talked about Hoka already. Nike, ever since John Capriati left, there's been rumblings about how there's going to be less money put into their budget for track and field. Although it's Nike's so big, it's hard to tell. Like, are they dropping those people because of budget reasons? Or are they dropping those people just because they didn't hit the performance metrics and they don't need to spend it? But then on the other side of it, you see people and companies on the upswing, like Under Armour, that's supporting more groups, On Running, which we talked about last year, Puma, those ones entering the game. And it's interesting to see the life cycle of these different shoe companies and groups within the sport.
Yeah, and it's back and forth, right? It's roller coaster, right? Because there was a time
Mm-hmm.
when like Puma was a lot more invested like 10 years ago. Or like
Mm-hmm.
what is it? Puma used to do a thing at Mount Sac where they had like the Puma Mile where
Oh
like
yeah,
you
yeah,
would
yeah,
win the mile and you get sponsored,
yeah,
so I think it's these marketing budgets that these shoe sponsors have. There's times when they get the money and then they spend it and then they're like, hey, don't do that anymore. And then you stop doing it for a few years. And then they're like, hey, what can we do more? Hey, let's spend the money again. And it's like, all right, we'll go
yeah.
back and forth. It's this weird up and down situation with marketing budgets. And it's, it, it doesn't make sense because I think it's all about like the way businesses work. Like businesses always look like, how can we save money? Hey, we cut back. Okay, how can we grow? Hey, we'll spend money again. Okay, how can we save
Yeah.
after growing? Cut back. It's like, all right, let's grow. All right, now let's reduce. Let's grow. And it's just fake business, right? That's how it works.
Well, it's people. It's people dependent, and one person comes in, and their vision is what everybody follows, and then they leave or they move on, or their boss decides something differently, and then it just changes. It's not. I don't think the infrastructure is big enough to withstand the whims of random people. It's not as if it's just this well-oiled machine that's going to chug along because it's making money and it doesn't. Take an example, like if Roger Goodell is replaced by somebody as the commissioner of the NFL tomorrow, does it make a tangible difference in terms of their bottom line? Probably not.
No, not really.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, unless the person was just took it in a completely different direction that we couldn't foresee, right? But it keeps chugging forward, right? The CEO of Costco is going to keep making Costco money, right? But like with these shoe companies within the small world of track and field, I think it's small enough to where the individual people matter, which is why you're seeing the rotation, right? Oh, Reebok is. I remember when Fila was sponsoring. You probably don't remember Fila. Grant Hill used to wear Fila. Shout out to one of the NBA's best players. During
Fila
that
and
era,
Starter.
but
Those are two great brands. Remember the
yeah, yeah,
Starter
yeah,
jackets?
right. But like Fila had a time when they were sponsoring running, but I don't think it ever was big enough to where it just became self-sustaining and obvious of like, okay, we're going to keep doubling down on running. We're going to keep sponsoring professional athletes in the sport of track and field.
Yeah, if you really think about it, there are probably like 6 to 7 individuals who have just a desk job, who are sitting, who like control like the fate of a large percentage of our professional athletes in track and field. And, you know, because like you said, if they're like, hey, we're going to invest in a training group in New Jersey, New York, and give them funding, and then that blossoms like multiple people being able to have a career for a year or 2 or 3, and then that person can be like, we're going to not do that anymore. And then those people probably aren't going to be able to have those opportunities or even new. Like, it's kind of crazy how we really are controlled at the whim of random marketing directors at different shoe companies,
Yeah.
because it's like, hey, we need to cut $100,000 this year. Okay. All right. And then 2 people basically lose their careers. It's just like, okay, weird. This is wild.
Yeah. Well, and that gets compounded by the big players in the room. If Nike decides, oh, we're going to start 7 elite training groups throughout the United States, and we're going to pay base salaries of 60,000 plus cost of living, et cetera, that changes everything for everybody else because those groups are now established and they're out there. And then on the flip side of things, when they contract, when they make cuts, when they drop people, then it the whole market turns in a different direction too. So yeah, you're right though. It's very fickle, and it's being handled when it's being handled by the marketing arm of thing, which is kind of what you're saying, right? They're not. Nick Simmons always made this point. He's like, I'm not an employee of Nike. I'm an independent contractor, right? So it's not like they're not like they're employed and they have the stability of being an employee. I remember Ben True talking last year at World saying he was racing a bunch because he wanted to qualify for the health insurance through through a grant. So he had to have his ranking needed to be at a certain level for him to get it. So it's not like, I mean, and Ben True is one of the best 5,000 meter runners in the United States, right? I mean, it's not like this is random, 1405 kid with a dream who's just like going out there and trying to make it happen. Like Ben True is a name. He's a big deal. So yeah, it's crazy when you put it in that terms of, oh, there's only a couple people here who have their finger on this entire operation. So I don't know. I'm sure we're going to hear more stuff in the next week or two. Have you heard any rumblings from your sources that you have?
No. I mean, we're still waiting for the whole Puma announcement, right? Because we kind of, with Taylor Warner and all them, the North Carolina group, like it hasn't really, we reported it, but there hasn't been like the official like launch of Puma's investment in running. It's still kind of still under wraps. Maybe they're waiting till spring to make the announcement. I don't know. Yeah, but I haven't heard anything else right as of right now. But yeah, so nope, no news.
Right. Let's go to predictions for 2021. That's okay. You're just warming up. Let's first though look back at last year's 2020 predictions to see who got what right. Gordon, you predicted a global pandemic will cancel all of the season and will begin the day of NCAA indoors, which I thought was good. You also picked NAU men score under 30 points at the 2020 NCAA XC championships with only one senior in the top 5.
So technically, that could still happen because the 2020 NCAA cross country championships are happening in March. So technically, I still have that one potential.
Kenya's Emmanuel Career breaks the 800 meter world record in the Olympic final. I don't know if you want to back up on that one. You have Grant Holloway runs wind legal sub 10. I like that pick. That was a good one. And then the USC women, I really like this one. Win every sprint hurdle event indoors and outdoors. That was a good one. And I think they could have done it.
I think they could have done it too.
So, yeah, you talk about the missed opportunities. USC women, that would have been one. I mean, I think they're still obviously going to have a really solid team, but that group last year was special. Lincoln had Norman beats Wade Van Niekerk and breaks the 400-meter world record in Tokyo. Kipchoge will be beat at the London Marathon. He got one.
Hey,
Good job, Lincoln. Not a little too late. Maybe we should bring him back. Shelby will win 1500-meter gold in Tokyo. I had both high hurdle world records will be broken. U.S. men will break the 4x1 world record, and U.S. women will win a medal in every mid-distance/distance event at the Olympics. Can I run some of these back for 2021? Is that fair? Can I do that?
I was thinking the same thing, right? None of it,
Yeah.
it is kind of wild how like basically all of our predictions were tied to a championship race, most of them for that matter. So when we don't have that, basically all of our predictions are null and void. Like if this were like a betting site, would we get our money back for a lot of these predictions? Like is it considered a wash?
I think well, yours, the career thing, I think you get a wash on because you put Olympic final in there. Obviously, USC women, you get a wash. Maybe you lose money on the Grant Holloway because he had the opportunity to run a sub 1000 and he screwed you over. Come on, Grant.
I should have put Michael Norman. I should have put Michael Norman. I should have done.
Okay, do you have any to add then? Do you have any to add for this year? You have new ones.
Okay, so we have to make. So our 2021 predictions going to be rehashing our 2021s and then add more, or can we like remove some of our 2020 predictions? Because I think I need to remove some. Yeah, because some of my 2020 predictions I don't want to keep. I don't want to parlay them into 2021. I don't want to do that.
You can throw all of them out. You can amend some of them. You can keep them as is, and you can add entirely new ones. It's up to you.
So I'm gonna. So I had my 4. I'm gonna amend some. So USC women win every sprint hurdle event, indoors and outdoors. That's not happening. I'm taking that out.
Okay.
I think Chanel Brissett transferred to Texas. I think just there's gonna be another. They're not gonna dominate the way I thought they would. LSU's got some fast sprinters, etc. So that's not happening. Grant Holloway runs a win legal sub 10, 100 meter. That is happening. I'm going to stay. I'm going to keep that one. Holding on to that. I still think Grant's going to do that. Emmanuel Correa breaking the 800-meter world record. I want to hold on to this. This is my yearly prediction that I make. I think Emmanuel Correa is going to shock the world. You know what? I'm going to hold on to it.
No, you can go. No, let's leave things in the past in 2021. Listen, this is a bold prediction because there's like no chance this is going to happen.
But here's the thing: if I get rid of it and it happens, it's going to be the worst. It's going to be the worst feeling ever because I'll be so mad at you for you telling me to get out now. This is if I just go all in on red one more time, I think I can get all my money back. That's what I'm saying. That's what I think.
So you're picking him not only to beat a bunch of guys who he's not better than, namely Donovan Brazier, but then he's also going to beat David Rudisha. I mean, if anybody breaks the world record this year in the 800, which I don't think is going to happen, it's not going to be him. But you can keep it. That's fine.
I'll amend it. I'm amending it. I'm going to amend it. The world record will be broken in the 800. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
I'm not going to say who or where, but the world record will be broken in the 800.
Okay. What else?
And then I still think NAU scores under 30 points at NCAAs.
Okay, so you're keeping Holloway. You're amending the career pick to just say the men's 800 record will be broken. You think NAU scores under 30, and then you're taking out the USC one. So that's it? Those 3?
Yeah, I have a few others, but I'll let you amend and add what you're doing first.
So my 3, both high hurdle world records will be broken. That was me kind of saying, hey, everybody's paying attention to the 400 hurdles, but the high hurdles, it's vulnerable. I'm glad that I wasn't held accountable for that pick in 2020 because I don't think it would have happened even if there were a season, but I'm going to run it back for this year. I think it's possible. So I'm going to keep that one. U.S. men break the world record in the 4x1. So now we don't have Coleman. So I think that obviously changes things. So I'm going to, but we do have Bromell.
Yeah.
We have Bromell now. Okay, I'm keeping that one too. U.S. women will medal in every mid-distance event at the Olympics. I'm also going to. Yes, I'm keeping that one because one of my picks, my new picks, I didn't look at these ones before I did my new picks. One of my new picks was that the U.S. women will medal in the 5. And that obviously would change the game because they've never medaled in the 5. And that's the hardest medal to get for them. Although the 10 will be
Who's going to
hard
do
too.
it? Who's going to medal in the 5?
Schweizer.
Schweizer?
Or
You
Houlihan if
think
she
she?
runs it. But it's going to be Schweizer.
Well,
Schweizer's going
Houlihan
to
won't
break
run
the
it.
streak.
Houlihan will be 15.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
So I'm keeping all
I still
those.
feel like it's going to be hard for a U.S. woman to medal in the 5.
I think it's going to be here's a pick for you. It's going to be harder for the U.S. women to medal in the 100 than it is in the 5,000. How about that for a turn of events?
No. I disagree with that. You're
Well, this
starting off
is
2021
impossible.
with a bad take.
No, this is impossible to prove because I mean, I guess if they swept the 100, then it would be a moot point. But
What?
there's no main.
Okay,
There's no main.
how
Who
about
you
this?
got?
Okay, how about this? I will do this. I will predict that the highest American finisher at the Olympics in the 5K versus the highest women's finisher in the 100 American. Like an American will finish higher in the 100 than in the 5K at the Olympics. You want to make that bet? And
Well,
do you
that's
think
just
it'll
a
be a
side
5K
bet. That
runner?
has nothing to do with that. Doesn't have anything to do with the prediction. Look,
Well, you
2019
just
World
said
Championships. Yes, I'm just saying
you
that
just
as a point of context, just because it's a notable thing. It's just interesting to see how things have
yeah,
changed.
that's true.
I think
Yeah.
the women's 10 is going to be really hard though too. But I'm going to stick with it because these are bold predictions. They're not just any sort of predictions. They're bold predictions. Just look at the U.S. women's 100-meter depth right now as it relates to the world, and then look at the U.S. women's 5,000 and 10,000 meter depth relative to the world. Just look at it. That's all I'm saying. Do your
I
research, as Mike
yes,
Holloway would say to
no,
Lincoln.
well, I have done my research, and my research is that there
Another
will
great
be
Lincoln moment.
an American woman who will break out in the 100 more likely. Like there's someone right now training. It's like, yeah, they haven't looked good lately, but someone's gonna run out there and run like a 10-8. An American's gonna run a 10-8, and then we'll be like, all right. So
Yeah. I mean,
and I
yes,
just think
it'd be Sha'Carri Richardson. If Sha'Carri Richardson can get back to where she was her freshman year at LSU, she'd be the candidate. But it's just interesting that we're having that it's even. I just like how events change. Like some events seem like, oh yeah, the U.S. is going to dominate him forever, or Jamaica's going to dominate him forever, or Kenya's going to dominate him forever, and then you just see how a couple years go by and things change. Hey, we're on a tangent. That's not a prediction. I'm going to stick with my prediction that they medal though in every single event. 100, 200, all the way through 10,000, steeple, everything. They're going to medal at least
in
one.
every running event,
Boom.
right?
Every running event. I think the hardest one. I think they'll get one in the 100. They'll get one in the 2. I think obviously the 4. They'll probably be looking at a bronze there if Milawebo and NASA run. 800, they're fine. 15, I think Shelby and maybe Jenny obviously are the main 2 candidates there. Steeple is going to be easy peasy.
Fine.
5 and 10 will be hard. Both the hurdles are locks. 4x1, 4x4 are locks. Go.
Okay.
Your turn. I got new
So,
ones too.
give me your first new one.
Okay, my first new one. Well, I'll take out U.S. women medaling for the first time in the 5,000. I'll take that out because it's covered by the other one. How about this one, Gordon? U.S. This is a bold prediction, and I know my friends from a bunch of other countries are gonna, that email us at FloTrackPodcast@gmail.com and say, Kevin, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. But this is a bold prediction, which means what's a bold mean? Like less than 25% chance of happening, less than 10% chance of happening, something like that. If we're being a betting site. U.S. men sweep the 100.
And who are those 3 men?
One of those men is Noah Lyles. Another one of those
Okay.
men is Trayvon Brumell. And the third man, I mean, you could say Baker, you could say Gatlin. Somebody's going to get in there. But if you look at the relative strength of the men's 100 worldwide right now, it's ripe for the picking. And I think Lyles and Bromell are going to establish themselves as the clear 1 and 2. And then DeGrasse from Canada will be fighting there with whoever else the U.S. sends for the bronze.
Like it.
Okay, good. I'm glad you like one of my picks.
All right. Should I, bold prediction.
Yeah.
This is a bold prediction that I was denying all of 2020. I was just I denied it, and I kept on denying it, and I would continue. I was denying it all the way up until December 31st of 2020. My bold prediction is Kira D'Amato makes the Olympics.
10,000, I'm
I
assuming.
think, yes, 10,000. I think she just finds a way. She stays healthy, and she makes the Olympics. Crazy things happen. It's not doesn't always go to form of like the fastest 3 runners make it. Something weird's going to happen. I think Rachel Schneider will win it handedly. I think she'll win, and then I think Kira's going to find a way to get that 3rd spot. I think, there's you have Huddle and Sisson and Infeld, and you have a few others, and the Hoka women. I just feel like Kira is just going to be there. I don't know. I just have that feeling. I think, yeah. Kira D'Amato, I think, can beat Emily Sisson straight up right now in a marathon. I don't know. I
In a
think
marathon?
that, yeah. Or I think
Maybe,
in any race. I mean,
okay.
we project all this like greatness on Sisson and Huddle because of experience, and Sisson because of the young age and like up and coming, and and we just dismiss Kira D'Amato because she's an unsponsored, she's like late to the game, she's, all this, not baggage, but like just like reasons to like deny it. But like when you just look at what she did in 2020, and like it just eventually you gotta just accept that she's good, or like and not be like, oh yeah, it's cool that she's there, she's running with the big girls. It's like she is the big girl, I think now, and I think the marathon project solidified it. She had a massive marathon PR, and I think that was indicative of, she would not have run that if she didn't have her 2020 season of all the confidence boosting races leading up to that. I think she would have stayed the 15th best marathoner in the US if it wasn't for having the 5K PR, then the 10, all this stuff. So yeah, that's my bold prediction. And I denied it all 2020. I was always like, oh, she'll be in it in the last mile. Now I'm like, no, she's going to be in it in the last 10 meters. So
if you could bet on these types of things, and if you placed this bet last year at this exact time, you would make,
oh my goodness,
somewhere upwards
so
of $1 million.
Yeah,
because they're like, who?
And if I made a bet even before the trials, before she even runs like the trials and gets 15th, because at least when you get 15th at the trials, you're like, oh, okay, that's pretty good, right?
Yeah,
but if you make this bet January 1, 2020, and you parlay it that there won't be an Olympics, oh my goodness, billions.
Okay, another one I had here. I think the fastest men's marathon will come from outside of Berlin, which is relatively rare. Now, last year aside, because last year it was Valencia, because there was no Berlin Marathon. But if you take out last year, you got to go all the way back to 2011 Boston, the Jeffrey Mutai 20302 perfect weather year, for the last time Berlin did not host the fastest men's marathon of the year. I think that's going to change this year because I think the marathon schedule is going to be so scrambled because of the pandemic. So not a really exciting prediction. Again, this was tough to figure out. So that's what I'm going with, though. There's going to be some race like in the early spring or late winter. I think that people really get going on because they're going to capitalize on the fact that there's no majors in the spring season this year. And the London course, if they run that same looped course, I guess it could be fast. It's hard to tell because last year the weather slowed everything down. So men's marathon, Berlin will not host the fastest men's marathon of 2021.
That's very vanilla. It's like, okay.
Okay, I got another one for you. I'll do 2 in a row.
How many people keep track of like which marathon had the fastest marathon? Like that's like a weird thing that you like. No, like how many people on the side of the street can even, like, oh, okay, yeah. Well, this was crazy. Did you know that this is the year where the fastest marathon was in a different city? I'm giving you a hard time. I'm being mean. I'm being
Did
mean, but
12,
yeah, I get.
13,
Yeah,
14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I mean, that is crazy. Like 8 years in a row, it was in the
yeah.
same spot. I don't know. Okay, I'll give you another one. I'll give you 2 for 1 here. I'll give you 2 for 1. Men's 1500. Do you have anything about the men's 1500 on your list?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I think Timothy Charrett breaks the world record. How's that? Do people on the street, do they talk about the men's 1500 meter world record? Because they're
It's
about
good.
to, Gordon. 326.00. Hisham El Garouge. It's going down probably in Monaco, if not there, maybe in one of those post-Olympic races. There's a lot of diamond leagues post-Olympics. I think Chariot has just room to grow with this record. A lot of his other attempts, the pacing has been kind of wonky. I think he's going to get in the perfect situation, and we're going to see the 1500 meter record go down this year.
I'm going to parlay off of your prediction. I'm going to
Okay.
take that prediction, but I'm going to group it with he will break the world record in Monaco, but then lose to Ingebrigtsen in the Olympic final. So he'll go in as the world record holder and then lose.
Okay.
That's my parlay on that. On your,
All right.
I'm piggybacking off your prediction. I do have a NCAA prediction.
You know, I was trying to come up with an NCAA prediction, and I really couldn't because we have even less information about the NCAA athletes. So what qualifies as a you could say Luis Grijalva is going to win 9 NCAA titles. You're like, is that really that bold? He's really fast right now. I don't know.
I got a bold
What
one.
counts
Yes,
as
I was
bold?
thinking.
Okay.
You ready for the bold? So at
Yeah,
first
yeah.
I was going to say this team was going to podium at NCAAs, but I was like, that's not fun. You know, like, okay, cool, you get 4th. I'm going to say they're going to win NCAAs. Iowa State men are going to win NCAA outdoors. That's my bold prediction.
Okay, so you got Fessel Sagat scoring 20 in the 8 and the 15. Where are the other points coming from?
No, not 20. He only has to score 10.
Okay.
Maybe, yeah. You know who comes? They're going to go 1-2 in the 5 and 1-2 in the 10.
Yeah.
Because Edwin Kurgat will be back. And they'll have, what's the guy's name? I forgot his name already. Wesley Kipto. Yeah, so Wesley Kipto and Edwin Kurgat go 1-2 in the 5, 1-2 in the 10. Festus Lagat wins the 8 or the 15. He probably does the 8. Right?
Maybe
They
the
have
steeple.
other
Maybe
800 meter
mess
guys.
around and wins the steeple.
Maybe that's around with steeple. They have other 800 guys. They have
Didn't
they'll
they
put
just
together a
get
4x4
somebody?
that gets like, yeah, they think they just got someone, right?
I thought
I
they
think
got.
so.
I mean, you have the roster up there. I thought they got somebody. I don't know if they're a scorer, but it was a name that I recognized.
Yeah.
Let me look this up. You're talking. Why not indoors? Is it because of the?
No, because Edwin Kurgat doesn't. Oh, they got Alex Lamong.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Mm, yeah.
Okay, that's
But
more of a.
no,
That's like
Edwin
more of a
Kurgat.
DMR piece.
No,
Yeah.
the reason why this is a thing is because people forget that Edwin Kurgat is still at
Mhm.
Iowa State, who was the best distance runner in the country. You know, now you could probably
Yeah.
say Luis Grijalva has passed him, maybe, but they returned the best distance runner, and then they add in another guy who potentially could be one of the best, and they're going to have a good 1-2 punch in outdoors, and then they have some 800 meter bodies. Hey, you never know. I'm going bold. It'll be a low scoring. They're
Okay.
going to win it with 40. Let's do it.
Okay. Well, if they go 1-2 in both, you're already at 36. So you don't need much more from
Yeah,
the rest
and
of your
then you
team
win
there.
you win the 8. That's at 46.
Yeah, that's tough. I think you're gonna need something from one of these other events. You're gonna need some field event points or something in the throws, the multi, something like that. I don't know what they have, if they have any potential there.
I think they have a weight thrower. I think they have a shot putter or a weight thrower they could throw in there.
Well, weight throw is not
Literally.
going to help you outdoors. It's just not going to do much
hammer
good
throw.
outdoors.
That's what I meant. Hammer. That's what I meant.
You can bring your weight throw to outdoors if you want to. This is not a bold prediction, so I didn't write it down. But the only thing I thought of when NCAA is just, I think Whitney Orton's going to dominate cross for the women. But I mean, she's the top returner and she comes back in 7th. There's just nobody, Donahue, Lawson, and then you get into a lot of inexperienced folks who could do it, right, with their lack of with their good, high school times and things like that. But I don't know. I just think she's the one established person there. So it's hard though. It was hard to pick anything for indoors or outdoors. Oh, by the way, did you see? We got an email from someone. They sent along Arkansas's home schedule. Did you see this?
No.
Oh, you're gonna love this. Well, unfortunately, we're not allowed in the building, but were we to be allowed in the building, you would love this. They're hosting like 6 home meets. Shout out to who sent this. This was hold on, let me see. It's Justin who sent this. Thank you very much. Yeah, they have 7 indoor meets. Okay, so SECs and NCAA's is 2 of them, but then they have these regular meets. The Arkansas Invite on the 16th of January. Then they have the Woo Pig Classic, Arkansas, Kentucky, LSU, Oklahoma State, Ole Miss, USC, and Texas. Then the Razorback Invite has Colorado, Georgia, Iowa State, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Oregon, USC, and Stanford. Then Arkansas Qualifier has Arizona, Arizona State, Kansas, Kansas State, Missouri, UCLA, and Vanderbilt. So our whole theory about people staying close to home, I mean, maybe this is just because Arkansas has gotten the green light and everybody's able to travel. Okay. So there's just not going to be many indoor meets, and the ones that are going to happen are going to be in Arkansas. Is that what you think? Okay.
Yeah. And you think like, I don't think the UW meets are going to happen. Like, do you think the Seattle meets will happen? Well, and I don't think the BU meets are happening. So if there's no BU and there's no Seattle.
Yeah. I don't know how you do the Seattle meet with like restricted entry. It's just that meet. A lot of it was not just about the college side of things, but everybody else who got into these meets, whereas these are fully formed collegiate meets. Okay. Let's see. I only have one more. Not that bold. Women's 400-meter world record is going to go under 52 seconds this year. Not that crazy.
That's not crazy.
How about both?
I mean, it is crazy. It is crazy, but it's also not that crazy.
How about top 2? How about if I say top 2? How about Muhammad and McLaughlin are both going to break 52 seconds? Better? Good? No? Still not quite there? All right.
I have a bold prediction.
Yeah.
No, it's not bold. I have a prediction that will happen.
Oh, yeah, we're doing this pod 3 times a week and not 5 times a week. We should have mentioned that at the top, too. We're doing 3 times a week on the pod, not 5 times a week on the pod. Sorry. Go
ahead. Allison Felix won't make the Olympic team individually. She'll finish, but she will make it as a relay member. And the entire NBC coverage will be about her 2 Olympic golds that she gets in the relay and the co-ed relay. And it'll be a big swan song hooray about the most decorated athlete of all time. That's basically going to be the story of the Olympics, is her winning a co-ed relay and her being the 3rd fastest leg of the main relay, because Muhammad and McLaughlin will be faster. That's my prediction. Can you hear me?
I literally didn't hear any of that after Allison Felix. You cut out.
Oh, yeah. So I just said
now. Do you want to? I don't know.
I just said,
Alon, could we hear? Could the other people? Could people hear Gordon? Can anybody hear Gordon, or should he repeat that?
No, he should.
I don't need to repeat it.
He said, Allison Felix is going to.
Alon's already given up on us.
Allison Felix is going to be decorated as a Christmas tree, and then I think that's all I got out of that. Yeah. But no, everybody heard it.
Okay, so it cut off.
I mean, no, everybody heard it.
Everybody heard Gordon?
It didn't cut off. Everyone heard it. Okay. Everyone heard it. I don't need to say it again.
I just couldn't
It's going to be a giant. It's going to be a giant. I can't say what the actual phrase is, but when oversaturation of praise of Allison Felix at the Tokyo Olympics, even though she won't be there individually, she'll just be there as a co-ed relay member and a 4th woman of the main 4x4.
Oh, I think she's going to make the... Wait, so you're saying she's going to make the 4x4 team?
Yeah, because she'll finish in the top 8, and then she'll be on it.
Yeah.
As long as you make the final, you're going to be in the 4x4. because of co-ed.
Yeah.
So they take 8.
I think she could. I think she can make it individually in the 4. When you look at how close she was last year or 2019 coming back on her first race, and you look at the rest of the women right now in the event, keep an eye on the collegians early season. Right, keep an eye in March and April to see if somebody from the college ranks is popping, sub 51, mid 50 sort of times, who will be a factor. Because if not, that definitely opens the door for her. We saw Irby had a pretty solid season last year, so you have to account for her. Obviously, Phyllis Francis, Kendall Ellis, Shakima Wembley, but there isn't that huge pool of people yet emerge. And probably a lot of that is because of the season being wiped out last year. But if nobody from that college group emerges and is able to run sub, 50.2, 50.3, I think Felix's absolute floor is going to be make the final. And I think a couple breaks go her way. I think she can make the team. So somebody keep an eye on early season.
Yep. So we'll just end this pod. What'd you get for Christmas? Did you buy yourself anything?
I got some socks.
Got some socks from the kids?
Always get socks. From my mother-in-law. And then, my son wanted matching shirts. So they just Googled matching t-shirts. My wife and my son Googled matching t-shirts, and the ones that they could find were Top Gun themed. So mine says Maverick and his says Goose. Even though he has no idea because he hasn't seen Top Gun. I've seen Top Gun once or twice. It's a fine movie. But that's all.
That's cool.
What'd you get?
I'm wearing my Christmas gift, but it's probably the
Eagles hat?
most ironic Christmas gift. Yeah. But guess who it's signed by? Wait.
Carson Wentz?
Yeah. Who won't be an Eagle probably next year. It's like the worst time to
Bring
get
that
a
to the
Carson Wentz
trials.
signed.
Bring that to the trials. Get that signed by Randall Cunningham, a true Eagles legend. That's what you need to do.
Ooh. Yeah, try to collect all have a Cunningham Wentz signed hat. I don't think anyone has ever had that. Anyway, I just thought it was funny because obviously Carson Wentz is done with the Eagles, so it's sad.
Yeah, you guys got a new prospect coming up. I heard about that. I didn't watch the game, but I heard that scout team guy is pretty good. So
anyway, so
it's
next
so funny to me. Hold on, I want to do an NFL digression. We normally do NBA digressions. I want to do a quick NFL digression. It's so funny to me how many people like dump on bad quarterbacks in the NFL. Now I get it because it's the national sport, right? Everybody watches it and everybody has opinions about it.
Yeah. But
it's so hard to even make the NFL, especially playing. I mean, come on. Like we're talking about like, I don't know. I always get the feeling people watch and they're like, oh, this guy's terrible. Well, he might be, but that's just kind of showing you how hard it is to be good at that position. Like you think that people aren't trying to be quarterbacks in the NFL, that all of a sudden everybody stopped trying to be good at the NFL. No, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of kids every year trying to get in that position. And the one that eventually gets through is the best candidate. It's just a very hard position to succeed at. I just think it's funny. It's like people are acting like it's a simple bang, bang, bang type of thing. I don't know.
I mean, it's the same thing if like, I mean, it's so hard to run 4 flat in the mile. Like that's really hard to do. Yeah, if someone runs 4 flat in a mile, you're like, whatever. Run 350 if you want to make an Olympic team.
Well, right, yeah. I know, but I don't think track fans dump on those people. They're not like, oh, that person's trash. They're just like, oh, other people are better, or it shows you how good Centro is, or how good Ingebrigtsen is, or Cherry is, or whatever. It's just funny to me how people are like, man, quarterback play in the NFL is bad now. It's like, well, I don't know if it's bad. It's just the defense is caught up a little bit, or there might be a little bit of a lull. But did like high schools and colleges stop teaching quarterbacks to throw the ball? Did that happen in the last 5 or 10 years? I don't know. I haven't been paying attention to football, so I'm probably way off on this. I just think it's funny.
All I know is this is going to be a great year for us, for the sport, but ultimately for the Philadelphia 76ers because they're 6-1 right now as of this time. And they're going to start. They're going to have their own Golden State dynasty starting this year. You heard it here first. Boom.
Congrats on your multiple wins over Your multiple wins over
Charlotte.
Charlotte Hornets. That was impressive. Your Knicks victory was good. You were close against the. Oh no, you weren't that close against the Cavs. Sorry, that was tough loss. I think the Spurs started with the hardest schedule, and you guys started with the easiest schedule. It's kind of interesting how that worked out for the pod purposes.
It is. Yeah. Well, best record in the NBA.
Leave it there.
Your Philadelphia 76ers. We'll end it with that. Email
All
the
right.
pod.
Thanks, everybody.
Questions, takes. We'll talk to you guys later.